This is the full wiring diagram for a single-phase prepaid electricity meter. The supply coming in, the meter in the middle, and your distribution board on the end. So this is how to wire a prepaid meter, start to finish. The keypad you type your token into, the meter that measures and switches, and every terminal in between. By the end, you will know exactly where live, neutral, and earth go, which terminals are supply and which are load, and the two safety rules you must never break. Let us rewind to a blank page and build it up one connection at a time. First, what is a prepaid meter, really? It is a standard electricity meter with a switch inside and a running balance of credit. When the credit hits 0, the switch opens and the power cuts off. Most keypad meters use the STS standard. That is why a token bought from any vendor works in the meter. You buy a 20-digit token, type it in, and the meter adds that many units of credit. And here is the key idea. A split prepaid meter is two separate boxes. One is the meter itself, the measuring and switching unit, usually sealed by the utility. The other is the customer interface unit, the keypad you keep indoors where you can reach it. The two talk to each other over a thin low-voltage cable. Integrated meters put the keypad on the meter, but the split design is what you will meet most often. So before a single wire, here is the whole map. Power flows in one direction, left to right. The utility supply arrives first, live, neutral, and earth. Live and neutral land on the meter's line terminals, the supply side. Inside, the meter measures, and if you have credit, passes power straight through to its load terminals. From a load side, the two conductors run to your main switch, one isolator that kills everything downstream. After the main switch comes the distribution board, where the live splits out to every circuit breaker in the house. Earth never enters the meter at all. It runs to the earth bar and stays there. Supply, meter, main switch board. Hold that shape in your head, and the rest is just detail. Quick note before we wire it. Every diagram in this video is drawn in a free editor that runs right in your browser, CircuitDiagramMaker.app. No install, no sign up. The link is below, so open in a second tab and draw along with me. Let's start where the power starts, the utility supply. 3 conductors come in from the street. Live, the one that carries the voltage. Neutral, the return. And earth, the safety conductor that gives fault current a path back and trips your protection. Colors vary by country and by age of the installation, so never trust color alone. Always test. But the roles never change. Live and neutral are the two that do the work and pass through the meter. Earth branches off on its own. One thing to notice already. The supply cable and the connection into the meter are sealed by the utility. That seal is not yours to break, and we will come back to why that matters. Now with the meter itself. Look at the terminal block along the bottom. That is where every wire lands. The terminals split into 2 halves. On one side, the line terminals, the supply side. Live in from a street goes to the live line terminal. Neutral in goes to the neutral line terminal. That is the incoming supply, feeding the meter. Numbering changes from brand to brand. You might see 1 and 3, or a printed LIN and NIN, so always read the little diagram printed on the meter cover. But the rule underneath is the same everywhere. 2 supply conductors in, live and neutral, onto the line side. Earth does not touch these terminals. It skips the meter completely. On the other half of the block sit the load terminals, the way out. This is the metered power heading for your house. Live out and neutral out leave the load terminals and run to the main switch. The main switch is a single isolator, usually a 2-pole disconnector, and it is the first thing after the meter for a reason. Flip it off, and the entire board downstream is dead. It is how you safely work on anything past this point. From the main switch, the live and neutral carry on into the distribution board. Inside, neutral lands on the neutral bar. Live lands on the main breaker, and from there onto the bus bar that feeds every circuit breaker, the plugs, the lights, the geyser, the stove. For a typical single-phase home, this whole path is rated around 60 amps. Now the conductor we kept setting aside, earth. Earth from a utility supply runs straight to the earth bar in your distribution board. It never passes through the meter, and it is never switched by the main switch. Safety earth stays connected at all times. Every circuit's earth in the house terminates on that same earth bar, tied back to the supply earth, and, on most installations, to an earth electrode driven into the ground. That common bar is what keeps every exposed metal part at a safe potential, so that a fall trips the breaker instead of sitting live, waiting for someone to touch it. That is the power path done. Now the part that makes it prepaid, the keypad. On a split meter, the customer interface unit is wired to the meter with a separate, thin, low-voltage cable, a 2-core communications or prepayment cable. It carries no mains power. It only carries the signal between the keypad and the meter. You buy a token, punch the 20 digits into the keypad, and the keypad sends that credit down the cable to the meter. The meter adds the units, opens its internal switch, and the power flows. Type in a token that clears a tamper alarm or a power limit warning the same way. The keypad is your remote control. The switching still happens inside the sealed meter. Before you touch anything, 2 rules that are not optional. 1. Work dead. The supply into a prepaid meter is live utility power, and on the supply side it is there even with the main switch off. You do not disconnect it yourself. The utility pulls the service fuse or the cutout and proves it dead. Only then does anyone work on it. 2. Size the cable and never break the seal. The supply tails have to match the supply, commonly 16 millimeters squared for a 60 amp service. And those utility seals on the meter and the supply terminals, breaking them or wiring around the meter to steal power is illegal, it is dangerous, and it is exactly what causes meter fires. The seal stays intact. So that is how to wire a prepaid meter and supply in live, neutral earth, live and neutral onto the meter's line terminals. Metered power out of the load terminals, into the main switch, then the distribution board. Earth straight to the earth bar, never through the meter. And the keypad talking to the meter over its own low-voltage cable. Now draw it yourself. Open the free editor, drop in a meter, the main switch and the board, and wire the path you just watched. It is the fastest way to make it stick. The link is below. Subscribe for a new wiring diagram explained every week, and I will see you in the next one.